So there's this saying in the outdoor world of one is none, two is one. And it has to do with redundancy in the gear that you carry with you out into the backcountry that you have in your backpack. So this mindset of having a backup for everything that you take with you out into the backcountry. Now, this is not something that I necessarily employ with my backpacking gear systems. I don't think that you need to have a backup for everything. More importantly for me is making smart decisions in the backcountry, planning properly ahead of time, and just having a good risk management plan for the trips that I'm going on. I do feel, however, that there are certain backup items that are important to have in your backpacking system because they focus on safety as well as comfort in the backcountry. Other things that you feel like you need a backup on may not be totally necessary, but it's up to you to decide what exactly it is you need to carry with you. The first thing that we're going to talk about has to do with water filtration, because I feel like water filters are one of those things that inevitably can fail at any point at any time. And the backup item that I like to carry is Aquamira drops. Now, I love Aquamira drops because not only are they inexpensive to get, $10 to $15 depending on where you get them from, but they are super effective and they don't make the water taste really gross like you might get from other treatment options out there. So as opposed to carrying two water filters that are the same, this is an option that is just very lightweight, very small and compact, and very effective, that works in a large application. And I can even reduce the amount of this that I carry with me, put it into smaller bottles, that kind of thing. But a very great option for if your water filter does happen to fail, which has happened to me. And it's not a fun situation to be in. It's awful. And it just makes sense to carry something like this when you're headed out on the trail. The next thing I want to talk about has to do with shelters, and it is the fact that I like to carry, dropping stuff, I like to carry an additional stake or two for my shelter when I'm headed out. There's no way that you can say I'm never going to bend or break a stake, or I leave my stakes behind, or I thought I had more than I did, or the shelter requires more stakes than I thought I needed. So carrying an extra stake or two is really important as a backup, in the sense that you might bend and break a stake, and that would prevent a proper pitch of your shelter. So for the weight added to your pack, this just makes sense to carry an additional stake or two with the shelter that you are taking with you. Now, with your sleep system and the insulation pieces that you carry with you, I like to have my first aid kit have a few repair items for those things in them. So what I've got here is tear aid as well as gear aid like tenacious tape. I carry these kinds of things because it allows me to very effectively, easily patch a insulated jacket. If I'm running through the brush and I get a hole in it, then I can prepare and put a patch over that hole so that I don't have down and stuff, insulation going all over the place. But also for my sleeping bag, if that happened as well, I've actually laid it out over a bush to let it dry out from condensation, and then picking it up, it got a hole in it. And as well as your sleeping pad. That's another thing that stuff like tenacious tape or this tear aid stuff is going to be really nice in being able to repair, and it doesn't take up hardly any space in your backpack, and it's just one of those backup things that makes sense to have that I keep in my little first aid kit. Now let's talk about navigation and maps. I am not somebody that actually carries a paper map with me every time I go out on my trips anymore. However, I do feel like paper maps, they make sense in a lot of cases, and maybe I should. Maybe I should start carrying a paper map with me every time I go out. But the backup item has to do with keeping your phone charged, and or a headlamp in that case as well. But I carry a battery bank, and a minimum of 10,000 milliamps is what I carry with me at all times when I'm out on my weekend trips, maybe a little larger if I'm doing more days than that. But a way to make sure that my phone is always charged so that I can use it with my satellite communication device to be able to send custom messages, but also to keep my phone ready for GPS mapping and everything and then this to charge other, like a lantern, headlamp, and that kind of thing as well. Now, a no-brainer kind of item that a lot of people carry is a lighter, but also in the sense that you do want some kind of backup fire source. And I like to carry Esbit cubes. Esbit cubes are a great little fire starter device that essentially will ensure that you're able to start a fire in the case that you need to for an emergency situation. Takes up hardly any space in your pack, totally worth the weight and space that it takes up in your pack for being able to light a fire at any time that you might need to on an emergency situation. So that completes my list of backup gear items for being out on your backpacking trips. Curious what kind of backup items you might carry on your trips as well. Leave it down in the comments. I appreciate you guys watching today. Have a great one. We'll catch you on the next video. See you later.